Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sterling Live. I should say welcome, but I should say welcome back specifically because we had a little bit of a summer break. So it's been a little bit since I've been on your camera or just listening to me, but I'm back, don't worry. And I'm back again week after week on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, coming at you with just some great content, some great guests. So we truly have a great episode for everyone today, and I do have two great guests with me. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the two individuals that you see on screen right now. So today we are joined by Jessica Torres, Talent Acquisition Leader, and Tracy Leary, People and Culture Partner. And today we're going to be talking about rethinking diversity and inclusion recruitment in a virtual environment. So Jessica and Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today. I would love for you both to introduce yourselves a little bit more to our audience. So Jessica, we can start with you.
Hi, Jessica Torres. I lead our talent acquisition group here at Sterling. My pronouns are she, her, and I've been at Sterling since February. So I lead our global talent acquisition group. So all the roles that we fill here at Sterling, my team assists with those, and they connect us as an employer with candidates from all over the place.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Tracy, can you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Certainly. Hi, Caitlin. Hi, Jessica. Nice to be here. I sit here in Cleveland, Ohio. My pronouns are she, her. I am the PNC partner, the People and Culture Partner for U.S.-based operational roles. And I work closely sometimes with a lot of the client-facing roles in our verticals as well. So I've been here just a little bit longer than Jessica, about a year and a half. I started last February in 2020. And while I'm not new to HR, it's been a fantastic ride with Sterling so far, and I love where we're going, and I'm happy to be part of this team and partnering with Jessica and getting us some fantastic talent.
Absolutely. And I love being here too and love where we're going. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit, in regards to talent acquisition, recruitment, people and culture, everything like that. So just, a reminder, our topic today is rethinking D&I recruitment in a virtual environment. And I also want to remind our audience that if you have questions for Jessica or Tracy, please, throughout the entire show, please go ahead, whether you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and go ahead in the comment section and go ahead and ask your questions, and I will get them over to these two as I see fit. So let's go ahead and get into the show and the entire episode. And I really want to specifically talk about an event that Sterling was at last week. Truly an exciting opportunity for us. So we were at the second annual Mayor's LGBTQ Opportunity Fair. If you follow us on social media, you saw a couple of posts about it. You saw our employees post about it. But Jessica, can you go ahead and give an overview to our audience of what this event was?
Sure. So the event, as you said, it was put on by the Mayor of Atlanta in conjunction with Goodwill. We actually learned about the event pretty last minute, and they were able to bring us in and get us connected and get us set up. And the goal of the event was to connect job seekers virtually with opportunities. There were hundreds of opportunities. We were one employer of many that were there with open roles. The fair was specifically targeted towards the LGBTQ community, but it was open to all. Overall, it was a very well done event, and we'll talk more about that later. But I think it was very purposeful, and it was really exciting to be there.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like I learned so much about, working with the team, making sure we were getting the word out that we were going to be there. So it truly did seem like an exciting event, behind the scenes. So I'm really happy that Sterling was able to have the opportunity to attend it. So Jessica, from a recruitment and talent acquisition standpoint, what was your experience like at the event?
Yep. So we had a great experience, actually, and I was really impressed with a couple of components of this career fair. One, it was great to get in front of the LGBTQ community in Atlanta. We don't have a strong presence in Atlanta, or an office, I should say, in Atlanta. So it's great to be able to get in touch with local talent there, where we might not have been able to. The other component of this job fair that I think was pretty amazing was the prep call beforehand. So prior to the event, the team put on a prep call or training, and obviously part of that was how to use the software. Virtual job fairs are new for everyone, so we're still all learning that. But another component to this training was this inclusion training. So it was put on by Transformation Journeys Worldwide, and they are a transgender-focused inclusion training organization. So they were able to share with us. Gabrielle and her team shared amazing information on how to interact respectfully with the LGBTQ community, the transgender community, the non-binary community, which I just think was a very valuable component to this job fair, and something that I'd never seen done before. So it was great. The preparation was great. The team was great. We really enjoyed being able to interact that way with candidates as well. There was definitely a difference from being in person. We're so used to being at in-person job fairs, and that just this was actually my first virtual job fair, so it was new for me, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But I loved the ability to interact with candidates in that way.
Yeah, and it's new for sure. And I remember one of the Sterling Live episodes during like the middle of the pandemic. We were talking about another job fair, but it was a drive-through job fair, a recruitment event. So you have to get really creative during these times, and I'm just really happy that it was a success, and Sterling as an organization, saw a lot of value in doing a recruitment, a job fair, something like this, and really going out there and seeing a better pool of candidates in certain, in a newer fashion, things like that. So definitely great to hear that, Jessica. Thank you for sharing your experience. And not only was Sterling there, from a recruitment standpoint, we had other individuals from the team there as well, including Tracy. And you were there on behalf of our SAFE, well, you can tell the audience what SAFE is, but our employee resource group called SAFE. So how was that being there in that aspect?
Right. So SAFE stands for Sterling Acceptance for Everybody, and it is a specific employee resource group that targets and supports the LGBTQIA community. And so we had our leader of the group, as well as myself as the PNC representative, join the event, which was a fantastic event. And it just shows again, Clarissa, our journey as a company in becoming more inclusive and living our values. One of our values, our primary value, right, is people and people first. And so we showed up. We showed up at this event purposefully and with the intention to recruit and partner and be an ally to the LGBTQ community. It was great. I was proud to be a part of a company that does that and represent our name. I'm sure Jessica felt the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, it was a great event, and like Tracy said, the people first value is probably the one we talk the most about, and I really loved seeing everyone come together. Like I said, we learned about it last minute, and everybody came together to make it happen. And
the support was there. The support was there, Jess, right? Like everyone was like all hands on deck. I can give you 2 hours. I can give you 1 hour. I'll attend the training. So people really volunteered for it. It was great.
Definitely.
I love that. And I truly do love too that Sterling was able to show up in multiple ways for this event, for this community. So it's really great. And thank you both for sharing your actually different experiences from the event, but overall really, really good experiences from the two of you. So let's dive into what D&I recruitment looks like at Sterling. So Jessica, let's look at it from a talent acquisition standpoint. So when we're looking at it in that scope, what does it look like at our organization?
So across the board at every organization, I think a lot of companies are getting a lot more intentional, including Sterling, about the way that we recruit and the way that we get in front of diverse talent. There's proven value in bringing people in with different experience levels, different backgrounds, different perspectives. It's not just valuable to those communities, it's very valuable to an organization. You know, from a creativity perspective, from just having a bunch of different people with a bunch of different experiences. We are better thinkers, we're more inclusive, we're a better environment. It fares well for everybody. So one of the ways is obviously getting purposeful about the events that we attend, getting involved in the right communities, tailoring our job descriptions to be as inclusive as possible, looking at partnerships and ways that we can continue to specifically and intentionally target diverse communities. We have a lot to offer. By, you know, as an employer, as just a place to be. And so we want to continue to attract talent from all different backgrounds with all different perspectives. And so, I mean, just being very intentional about that, I think is one of the bigger ways that we are making kind of a footprint. But also just being as inclusive as possible during the interview process, treating everyone equally, ensuring that we're holding ourselves accountable for that process, and keeping the candidate experience in mind, and that everybody deserves the opportunity, and casting a wider net to get as many diverse candidates as possible, because we want everybody to feel like they had a shot, and we want to make sure that we're building a brand with candidates, whether we hire them or not.
Yeah, and I'm really happy, you know, kind of how you just told that specific story of, you know, organizations, including Sterling, are becoming more aware of, you know, what we're doing around, you know, diverse talent pools and how we're going out recruiting, the hiring process, everything, you know, from start to finish. But one of my favorite things about Sterling is that, you know, we are making these changes, we are rethinking things, but we're also acting upon it. So you just shared 3 to 4 great examples of how we are really, you know, doing this. We're pushing it forward. We are aware, like many organizations are, but we're doing things to make sure that we are doing the right things. We are putting our value of people first, like we had just discussed, at the forefront. So I think that's great. And again, a lot of great examples and a lot of good things that we are doing as an organization for sure. So Tracy, let's kick it over to you and let's look at it internally. Let's look at it from a people and culture point of view. So what does D&I recruitment look like in that aspect?
Right. Well, you know, it's living up to what we said we were going to do. It's building that trust, doing what we said we're including people. I'll leverage an example. You know, we have the employee resource group dedicated to SAFE and the LGBTQIA community, and we're all on this journey together. And it's about 3 years ago, I think it was 2019, that our ST, the Sterling emblem, was, you know, partnered with the rainbow, and you know, that was sort of a very visual but basic messaging. And here I sit 3 years later with an employee resource group with over 200 people that participate on a regular basis. And in June, we hosted an Ask Me Almost Anything session where employees were sharing their journey with everybody else. And it was fantastic from a diversity, but more of an inclusion aspect, right, Caitlin, that these folks felt comfortable enough to share their journey. And on that call sat our CEO and his leadership team, and anybody else who wanted to join in the call to listen and support in that journey and also learn. So there's an education, and there's a space for employees to bring their whole self to work in Sterling. And so our journey continues, and partnering with talent acquisition on fairs such as this that ally and partner with these communities is a step in the right direction. And I couldn't be, like I said earlier, I couldn't be more proud to be a part of it. But that's where it's looking like internally. Our internal folks are stepping up also and being a part of the journey to help coworkers, leaders, employees, partner HR BPs like myself learn and be a part of the journey. And whether you're an ally or a part of the community, it's been a great transition and a great journey.
Well, what an incredible journey for sure. Jess, you were going to say something.
Just to add to that, I just think it speaks to the follow through. Like from a branding perspective, you can create the logo, you can have the words on paper, the values, but when people are coming coming out of your organization and saying, you know what, Sterling follows through.
Yep.
They're a great place for us to be. I think that really speaks volumes.
Yeah, and it's a tremendous story to tell and to share when we are going out. We're trying to attract new talent. We're trying to grow Team Sterling constantly and just make our family bigger and better. And this is one of those things where, we are acting upon a lot of things and we're growing in so many different areas. I love, Tracy, the logo to now a 200 plus, ERG, around this. It's that transformation is truly incredible. So I'm really happy that you shared that with our audience. And it is something too that I'm very proud of too, working here at Sterling. So let's move into our next topic around recruiting in, this virtual and remote environment. And it's a hot market right now. I think a lot of people can understand that. We're going out, we're trying to get the best of the best. So there's a lot of changes going on. We have to rethink a lot of things. So Jessica, how are we adapting as things change, as we have to shift? And, that compared to, keeping up with our competitors, making sure that people are coming to us.
So, yeah, I would say in about April of this year, we saw this boom. And it happened really quickly, and I don't think we were expecting it. Job seekers started, companies started hiring a lot more than we had over the past year and a half. Obviously, a lot of things slowed down, and some came to a complete stop over the course of the last year and a half. And this year, things have, we're seeing things pick back up. And so the job market is back on fire, and there are roles available at a lot of different companies, a lot of great opportunities. Candidates are being sought out at a rate that I've never seen. So we learned very quickly that we needed to make decisions quickly. We needed to be very decisive about candidates. We needed to be very specific about the types of people we were reaching out to. We needed to be really respectful of people's time. Candidates right now are on the job market, I would say less than 10 days before they're getting offers. Passive job seekers are being reached out to by organizations, asking that they make a change. And so it's just a landscape that we need to be very intentional and very decisive. We also are constantly looking at our compensation plans and our benefits offerings to say, are we competitive there? Are we doing what we should be doing? Are we offering, the things that are important to individuals as they come into a place to work? Because it's really not just about base salary anymore. And Tracy, you and I had talked about that as well, that it's a whole package deal. And we need to be offering the things that are important to employees.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spoke about people first before a little bit, but that is definitely something that helps us, get ahead and stay ahead, like you had just said, Jessica, that we have to do. So Tracy, how is that helping us, really expand upon, what we have to right now with rethinking and staying ahead of everything?
Right. Well, if it's one piece of advice I could give to anybody looking for a job, it's not just about the base pay, it's the entire offering. And I think here at Sterling, we can offer a competitive package, right? Our positions offer 401k company match here in the US. We have incentive plans. All of our positions have an incentive plan tied to them. We have competitive time off offerings. And now most of our jobs are work from home with a lot of flexibility. But what's so interesting to also think about is, the industry that we're working in too is a very interesting, changing, and high demand industry. Like, people want HR technology. Technology is it, and we are providing some HR technology to HR resources and employers all throughout the globe. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting work. There's a ton of growth opportunity. And I also think it's a really good company with a good message. We live our values. Like we're showing up. Our values are in action. So it's not just about that base pay. It's so much more. Right. And our candidates today are changing what they're looking for. They are looking for a company that wants to build trust, give back to the community, the allies and partners to the LGBTQ group, right? Like, so those are things that are also just as important. So I think Sterling has so many offerings. Coming with 20 years of HR experience plus and working for some major employers, there's some great experiences out there, but Sterling's one of the best that does it. And I have to tell Jess and make sure that the team knows that her recruiters are some of the best at building that trust with candidates and getting back to them. They are responsive. They follow up with what they say they're going to do to candidates. And it's been really great working with top recruiters like that. And I hope that I've heard so many good experiences from talent, and even talent that's maybe it's not a fit for, but they still have had a good experience. So I hope that that continues, and, would love for people to share that and give that to the talent acquisition team.
I love to hear that for sure. Just a quick call out on LinkedIn. So hello from New Jersey. I've been impressed with Sterling, especially following the growth of this company for the last 3 years. I work very closely with Kim Johnson. Kim has been on the show many times. Shout out to Kim. As we run background checks for the Archdiocese of Newark, the Archdiocese of Newark tunes in every week on Sterling Live. So thank you, Anne Marie, for again coming on. We really do appreciate you joining us today. So in regards to, still talking about recruiting in our virtual environment and everything. So Tracy, I think you touched on it a little bit. So Jessica, I'll come to you with this question to further elaborate on. So, our company culture and our values matter more than ever right now in this regard. So, why is that? And can you expand on it a little bit?
Yeah. So, we see this across the board in more than ever. Candidates are looking at organizations and asking, does this organization align with my values? Does this organization align with what I would be proud to do and who I would be proud to work with? And are these people I want to interact with every day? Do they make me feel welcome? Are they going to help me grow in my career? Are they going to develop me? Is this organization going to help me become the best professional or the best version of whomever I'm going to be? And that question is more important than ever. No amount of money can, take away from that culture piece of it. And I think that more than ever, candidates are asking questions about not just what are your values, but how do you prove it? And that I think what's so unique about Sterling is, and you find this, I've been at one other organization that's done this, and I'm so impressed by it. We talk about our values all the time. Yep. So we say, are we operating as if the customer is in the room? Or, during feedback, we need to build trust and prove it every day. These are words that we use, and these values are a filter by which we make decisions, a filter by which we hold ourselves accountable. And I think that's very unique. And I think that it is just a testament to that. These are values that we live, that we breathe, that we believe in, and that we actually created because we care about. And that's huge.
I'm really happy you brought that up, because that is too one of my favorite things working here. And really every employee is, moving their position around these values. So we are living them as individuals. But when we come to work every day, when we open our laptop and we're producing our work for Sterling, it ties back to all of those values. And, you got to go out and show it. And I love it because my role particularly fits into all of those areas. And I can showcase it, and I can say, this is what I did, for trust, for the client is always in the room, and things like that. So I think that's a great point to bring up. Like, yes, of course, a company will always have values, but we always are talking about it. It's words that we're always saying, and we're always acting on it. So I think that's great. Tracy, do you have anything to add here?
I do. I have a great example to just build on what both of you just said. I was sitting in the Ask Me Almost Anything sessions for our employee resource group at SAFE, and one of our employees was sharing her journey and how she has a network of friends, outside of Sterling that were looking for jobs. And on the call, in the chat, our CEO, Josh Perez, types in, hey, we would love to talk to those candidates. We're hiring a lot of virtual positions. We might be able to make something work. And then he verbalized it later on in the session. Yeah. And there's a live example right at the top, starting at the top, trickling down to all of us listening to these calls that, yes, we want to be a partner. And our CEO is saying we want to be a partner with the LGBTQ group, and we're going to be. So it was a great example. I just thought I'd add.
I think that's a great example, and I'm really happy that you shared that today. So let's go back to, the recruiting event, the job fair that we were at, because I know we learned a ton from the event and a lot of things that we can take back as an organization, whether it's in, people and culture or, talent acquisition. So just a, pretty basic question of, what did we learn? So Jessica, I'll kick it off with you.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple of things that we learned, and I was, like I said, this was my first virtual career fair, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And there's a couple of things that happen at career fairs, and it's a very kind of anxious experience for job seekers. I've been at them as a job seeker and as an employer, and you walk into this very large room, typically in person, and you're looking at a bunch of employers who you need to evaluate, what roles that you have to go up to each booth and ask them, what roles do you have open, and could I be a fit for any of them? And it's an exhaustive experience. And with this virtual fair, what was so cool about it is we had a booth, a virtual booth. So you could see the booth, you could see the banner in the background, but you could also, as a job seeker, click on our open roles and take a look yourself and evaluate, do I want to work for this organization? Do I, would I be a fit for any of the roles that they have open that they're recruiting for here today? And create a short list of employers that I want to talk to these folks. And then from an employment perspective, we're able to look at the resumes of candidates. So we're at this career fair and we're talking with candidates, and they're coming up to our booth and asking these questions or engaging with us. But on the back end, we were also talking with one another, looking through resumes and viewing the backgrounds of candidates who we weren't engaging with just yet. And I was sharing names of candidates with my colleagues and my team in the background, saying, hey, check out so-and-so. Their background is in, whatever it was. Or sales or client services. We had sales and client service roles that we were looking for. So we were able to be really efficient. It also kind of calms the nerves when you're able to communicate via chat. We were able to communicate with multiple candidates at one time. So it's just made for a really easy and efficient experience. And I see this as a much better way to do job fairs. And I really enjoyed it. It was very smooth. And the candidates seemed to be very engaged. Yeah. Because they were able to be more particular about employers that they were engaging with.
Yeah. And I see a lot of it too, basically on your own time. So when you're at an in-person job fair, you got to move quickly and go and learn about as much about a company as much as you can in such a short amount of time. So virtually though, I can see okay, let me take the minute or two to really look into Sterling, look at their roles, like you had just said, Jessica, and really understand, and just kind of gives you that time back to make better decisions. So that's for the individual too. But I do love, hearing about the experience from the employer's perspective as well. And, making sure that, we are talking to people, multiple people at a time, and we're doing it. We're not, maybe ignoring someone. We can, keep many candidates on the table, talk to them, give them as much information as you need. So I think that's great. And, I had said it earlier, there's a lot of things that we had to get creative about, during this time with, a virtual environment. And this might be one of those things where we do learn down the line that it's easier and more efficient to run a virtual job fair. And maybe that's the future. So we'll see what that looks like in probably a couple months to a year. But Tracy, what did you learn from the event?
Exactly what you just said almost, Caitlin, that yes, virtual technology is here to stay. And we are going to have to incorporate that into the recruiting aspect of the world, the working aspect of our corporate world, things like that. I love the event. To attest to what Jessica was saying, we started a separate Teams channel of everyone that was in the event. And we were pinging different candidates to each other. If I couldn't answer something, I would put it in the ping. And it was great to exchange the information. So there was a level of efficiency and pace that kept, us in touch with these candidates. I thought it was a success, and I can see it happening only more. We have more virtual career fairs on the docket for the fall that I'll be partnering with Jessica's team on to look at candidates. So I think it's here to stay, and it's going to be a a fun ride to see what we look like. But the hybrid of technology and virtual world versus in person is definitely going to be here to stay, and I'm supportive of it.
To add to that really quickly, most of our roles, many of our roles, we have open virtually, and so they're open for work from anywhere. And to be able to reach out to candidates where we don't have a physical presence virtually like that, there's so much value in being able to connect with people in cities that we aren't in.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's another too, a benefit of moving to this kind of, virtual environment and learning, we're kind of like breaking down those walls, those barriers, and it's really opening up to who we can connect with, who we can engage with in real time. And I might not be in person, but it's in real time. So I think that's great. So at this time, I do want to remind our audience that you can ask questions. So if you do have any final questions for Jessica and Tracy, please go ahead and pop them in the comment box on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. As we wait for any final questions from our audience, I want to gather final thoughts from the two of you. So Jessica, can you go ahead and give our audience, final thoughts today?
Yeah, so I think overall, our D&I strategy and our D&I initiatives are on top of mind for this year. So we are going to be continuing to engage with different career fairs, different organizations who are reaching those communities, and by way of them, we will do the same. We are also super into the whole virtual career fair, so I think we'll probably seek out more events like that one. And just overall, I think we, as an organization, will showcase our values more. We want to make sure that we're giving candidates an amazing experience, and that they are, feeling like Sterling, even if this is not an organization or a role that makes sense for them now, that they feel like we're a great employer. And yeah, I love that we're able to very quickly attend that event and do this. I think it's really amazing to kind of showcase the culture at Sterling.
Absolutely. Tracy, final thoughts.
Well said, Jess. I would just add, couldn't be more proud to work for a company that truly lives its values in so many ways. And I'm so excited to see where we go with the inclusion efforts, whether it's Black employees, working parents, women, and the LGBTQIA community. It's been a great ride, and I look forward to partnering with talent acquisition along with all the Sterling employees here on our journey of inclusion.
We're doing great things. And I think, the way in which you both wrapped up today's episode was truly remarkable. And I'm really happy that we were able to sit down and have this conversation. I know I learned a lot with what we're doing and how we're moving forward. And I think our audience can definitely take away so many things from the two of you from this episode. At this time, we don't have any further questions. So I have to say thank you to our wonderful guests, Jessica Torres and Tracy Leary. The two of you were incredible. And like I had just said, I know our audience learned so much like I did over the past 30-ish minutes or so. And thank you to our audience for joining us live. We are happy. We're back. I know today's Wednesday, but we're usually here on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're back from our little summer break, but don't worry. We've got great episodes coming for you all through August, all through September. But again, thank you both for joining me today. And yeah, I will see you guys next time on Sterling Live.
Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks, Jessica.